What's going on, guys? It's Ross here, finally back on MGF Customs yet again for the return of the custom LEGO Avengers Endgame project over 3 years later. And as promised last year in the YouTube community tab poll, we're alternating between projects, going from Spider-Man No Way Home to the Avengers Endgame showcases and vice versa, going back and forth and alternating until both are complete. Now that said, today we'll be finally showcasing Thor version 2, inspired by his appearance in Avengers Infinity War instead, and then Smart Hulk, my most detailed big fig yet, that felt like 3 figures in one while painting. Guys, I never thought that I would actually be still working on the Avengers Endgame customs in the actual year that the movie takes place, 2023, but here we are. Something that I just dismissed years ago as, of course, being totally unreasonable. I'll totally have these done long before then, but life got in the way and I focused on other projects like Star Wars and Spider-Man, among others. That said, the Avengers have finally returned to the channel and I'm so excited to get into this with you guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me and being so patient with me, as I know I've just been posting a lot of shorts and otherwise seemingly not working on anything, but I always am working on something in the background, even if it doesn't seem like it, and even if I take a lot longer than I used to. But I think in the end game, the customs are always worth it, I hope. Let me know what you think down in the comments and make sure you stick around. I've got a lot of fun stuff for you in this video, and then we'll talk about what comes next after. So with that said, let's get started.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
What are you asking me to do? I can still save you!
We are all dead. Can you not see him?
You're a destroyer, Odinson. See where your power leads. I will return for you.
Wake up!
I'm only alive because fate wants me alive. Thanos is just the latest in a long line of bastards, and he'll be the latest to feel my vengeance. Fate wills it so.
And what if you're wrong?
What'd you do?
Okay, so Thor version 2 as he appeared in Avengers Infinity War instead of Endgame. I personally wasn't a big fan of Bro Thor. It didn't really work for me and I thought a lot of the jokes went a little too far. That said, I was really excited to make this version of Thor once again because the version that I made previously years ago was before the movie came out, had an inaccurate costume, and was just not right. Going back though to make, in my opinion, the definitive version of the character now has been really rewarding, and it's also pretty rewarding because I started on this figure back in like 2020 sometime, and so different things that I've done on this figure, some of which was done 2 years ago, some of which was done a few weeks ago, you know, so the process on this guy has literally been spread across a couple years, just like Smart Hulk, who we'll discuss shortly. But beginning with Stormbreaker, just to get it out of the way temporarily, this is a bootleg Stormbreaker that I've been hanging on to since 2019 actually. I don't remember where it's from, WM minifigures maybe, I don't know, it's been a long time, but I did my best to paint it up with all the roots and even the little Groot leaf on the bottom there. But really what was the most time consuming part of painting Stormbreaker was easily the actual axe parts and painting all of those lines on. That definitely took some time to make it all as symmetrical as I could and really cohesive. Oh, and actually I almost forgot myself since it's so subtle, but I painted the tree rings on the bottom of the stump. Can you see that? There are tree rings painted on the bottom there, and I just think it was such a fun detail to add. Now with Stormbreaker out of the way, let's talk about the head. So the hairpiece is from Feelings minifigure, I think. I don't actually remember, again, also 2 years ago, and so I got the hairpiece and the shoulder armor from them, and unfortunately a couple years ago the sideburns actually broke off, and I had to resculpt them pretty recently. But in addition to that, I painted it up in my own hair color along with the beard in the same tone. I painted in Thor's cybernetic eye and the scar that was given to him by by Hela. Here's a quick 360 of Thor with that shoulder armor on so you can see how it looks with the cape underneath. Speaking of the cape, it was also trimmed specifically to accommodate that shoulder armor, and I painted the entire center of it in a dark gray gunmetal silver with the red rims still visible. With the cape off, let's talk about the front of the torso really quick, which just features some relatively simple sculpting that I did in 2020, but it was definitely fun to paint on some of those finer details, especially on those circular armor bits. I've been excited to discuss the next part with you. Of course, we have the custom sculpted chainmail arms with the muscle definition, along with gauntlets that extend down onto the wrists. I actually sculpted the chainmail armor along with the muscle definition back in like 2020, and only recently sculpted on the gauntlets that use some basic 3D elements and pieces of shipping labels to make up the straps and stuff like that. And then I did some basic sculpting work on the wrists to keep those designs going while trying to keep it as accurate as I could. It was definitely a lot to pack in, but I'm really happy with the way the chainmail turned out, especially on both arms. I didn't sculpt anything on the back and instead opted to just paint all of the detail on, since it gets covered up by the cape anyway, and there really wasn't a whole lot I would have sculpted on regardless, maybe a little bit down in the middle, but I think the painted detail turned out just as good. And I always had to be really careful not to layer up too much paint because metallic paints can get really thick, and so that's something you always got to watch out for. I definitely thinned down my dark silver mix that I was using for this figure. And let's talk about the legs for a second. One of the more time-consuming parts of painting this figure, besides the actual Stormbreaker axe, were definitely these legs. As you can see, it's just a relatively tedious design with a lot of different layered lines, especially on the knees and also on the sides. Layering in those lines individually with metallic paints definitely took some time, and one of the many challenges when making this figure, especially very similar to what I ran into with the Spider-Man integrated suit, is just kind of it being difficult to distinguish metallic black from a dark silver metallic. It's just difficult on the eyes to literally see what you're painting sometimes, and so that's always a challenge. But also kind of the process of selection that I've talked about before, where you're just trying to figure out what exactly on the real thing is going to fit on a pair of minifigure legs, and just being really selective about what is actually going to go on there. And so I definitely think that it worked out really well here, and these legs are a lot better, a lot more detailed, and just a bit more accurate than the ones I painted for Infinity War initially back in 2018. And of course, if we spin them around one more time, we do also have that design wrapping around all four sides of the minifigure legs as always. So yeah, that's Thor from Avengers Infinity War version 2, 5 years later. Revisiting this has been really great, and also what's been really great has been the reference pieces, the physical real-life reference pieces that I've had for both Thor and Smart Hulk, as I have the Hot Toys collectibles figures, the 1/6 scale figures, and those were tremendous in helping me understand the designs and the costumes for the first time in a long time. I didn't even need a digital reference file on my computer. I just had the best possible reference right here physically in person, and so they have been tremendously instrumental in helping me develop these custom figures.
Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry. What are we, a team? We're a time bomb.
That much gamma exposure should have killed you.
And Hulk, smash.
It's like I was made for this. We have to make it worth it. We have to.
We will.
I'm counting on you, Bruce.
Everybody comes home.
Okay, so Smart Hulk, or of course Professor Hulk, whichever you prefer, Bruce Banner, after putting the brains and the brawn together off screen during the 5-year time jump, culminating his arc for the audience to never see. But that's okay, I've painted this fully, highly detailed, all painted Smart Hulk Big Fig in Lego, and let me tell you, this is not like the most challenging work I've ever done, and it's so weird because I started on like the torso and the chest area and did a lot of that back in 2020, and then the rest I did all throughout this year on and off, and it just took so incredibly long and would often feel like it was never going to end, because really, I mean, in a lot of ways felt like I was painting 3 figures in one. This wasn't just Gladiator Hulk or, you know, Infinity War Hulk or Thanos even with something simpler. This is a fully detailed suit that Bruce Banner wears that I had to paint on and adapt onto a Lego Big Fig that was especially tough around the legs. And if I go ahead and lift these arms to give you a better look at those legs, I kind of made a bunch of painting mistakes along the way with these, but this is so self-explanatory in the end, which is crazy because it's so many months of work on and off just summarized in a quick segment and a quick video, but it's all there, all fully painted, all the detail, and it took forever. And of course it goes around all sides of the legs, of the arms, and also I painted the hair last minute and painted the gray highlights into the hair. That was a late suggestion by my patrons that I'm glad I did, because it really wound up topping off the Big Fig. Now I'm going to move this arm back down and then remove his right, because as you can see from 2020, some of you might remember, I made a separate arm. This was the first arm with the Nano Gauntlet. Of course, as you guys remember, the nanotech gauntlet that Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner used to bring back trillions of people in 2023, this year now actually, and this was something that I sculpted myself and fully painted back in 2020. I did a whole video on it at the time that is available on the channel, but it was one of the more detailed sculpts I had done at the time, like pre-Cyborg and stuff from the Justice League showcase. But one thing I was really happy with, in addition to all the sculpted detail on the Nano Gauntlet, was I really felt like I nailed the Infinity Stones this time and just the placement of them, whereas, I mean, on the original Infinity Gauntlet, it was a little bit more haphazard in the way I actually installed the stones, whereas here, sanding the backs of each stone to have them more flatly attached to the hand really worked out in the end. And all 6 stones are present, of course: the Power Stone, Space Stone, Reality Stone, Soul Stone, Mind Stone, and the Time Stone on his thumb. Smaller than the others, but it's still there, and all that detail is there, wrapping around those fingers and even going inside the gauntlet as well, which was something really important to me to do to make sure that it looked as cohesive as I could get it. And so with all of that said, guys, that is it for this showcase, our first Avengers Endgame showcase in over 3 years. And now let's go ahead and wrap up this video. God, it feels so weird to just be like, there's the Big Fig, all that work I did, and now just talk about it in 3 minutes. God, that is so funny. These videos are weird for me now. Dr. Banner, there's something I need. Stark? Hey, Doc. Banner, what did you do? Don't freak out. We just pulled Tony from a few weeks back in another timeline. We're just trying to send him back. You just created a branch reality that doesn't have it Stark to defeat Thanos. Trillions will die if you don't. I'll put him back when we're done. No, you don't understand. If Stark knows what happens, it won't happen in that timeline. I said that to our Stark here. Yeah, look, it's fine, Doc. I'll snap half my face off in my timeline. Won't tell a soul. Or I might have one of my suits do it. What do you think, Nat?
Ooh, don't bring me into this.
Oh, and since we like cure death and can push time through people, we made Scott a baby again. And we de-aged Cap. Wait, that wasn't Joe Biden? Worked great on Thor too. He didn't even have to hit the gym. Oh, and we got Quill's girlfriend back. The other one was mean. And Loki and Vision and that one Quicksilver no one likes, so Wanda won't kill all your wizard friends. Hey! Oh, and Teenage Thanos. But we told him Thor will cut his head off again if he acts up. We also just grabbed all the stones again to solve all the world's problems. But we'll put them all back, probably. Oh, and we grabbed an extra time stone for you. Oh, nope, you're back, see? Can I borrow those? Oh, sure. Ooh, we can still push time back through you, Doc, even if you're dust. Over 3 years later, and I can finally say that about does it for this new Avengers Endgame custom LEGO minifigure showcase video. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments. Normally, I don't really go for the leave a like, turn notifications on thing. I usually forget. But honestly, those stop motion intros were so much work and more work than any other part of the video. And so if you enjoyed this with all the years in the making, let me know by doing any one of those things down below. It's totally up to you. And obviously here for this closing shot, we have all the generations of my Thor and Hulk customs dating all the way back to the original Avengers movie, and it's so cool lining them all up here in 2023. That Bruce Banner I made, by the way, was just something I literally did in like half an hour just for those stop motions. If you're still here after I committed to doing this project all the way back in 2019 and are still here now, I would also really love to hear from you down below, because I don't know how many of you really there still are that want to see this, but I've always still wanted to see this project. I've always still wanted to see it through. It's just other projects came up, life got in the way, and my personal life is still changing quite a bit even now, so I don't know when the final Endgame showcase is going to be, and I was going to save a lot of the ensemble shots kind of for that video whenever that time came, like once I have Armored Thanos and all of them done. But here's at least the original 6 Avengers: Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and of course now Thor and Hulk. And it's been just so awesome to finally return to this project and work on it loosely on and off throughout 2023 so far, after spending the really most of 2022 painting Spider-Man suits. This was really fun. It was a lot of work though, especially on Smart Hulk, even with all the work I'd already done with the Nano Gauntlet. Despite that, it was awesome to bring it full circle, and I don't really have much more to add other than I guess Iron Man's helmet was actually unpainted in the previous shot, and also the progress on both of these figures you saw in this video was being posted all throughout the spring and summer of 2023. So if you want to keep up with all the progress as it happens over the next coming months for both the Spider-Man No Way Home project that I'm switching to first before returning to the Avengers, then be sure to check out the Patreon if you're interested. It's all going up over there, along with a bunch of other stuff like those stop motion intros that were actually posted way early over there too. So that said, of course, as always, you can always find me over on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, posting the occasional Photoshop edits and now reels and shorts and all those things when I can. And I hope to see you in any one of those places, and most of all here on the channel when I return eventually with new custom LEGO minifigures. That said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your timeless support of this project, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and keep creating. All right, bye-bye.
This is the plan. We're gonna hit him with a brick.
It's just more so I sculpted the chainmail.
Can you guys make it so this never happened?
This, of course, is
Everybody comes home.
Banner, what happened? Did it work?
I don't know.
Request denied. These Infinity Stones all come from branched realities. Please insert the correct stones and try again. Can I go back to killing criminals now? In that reality, they never left.
No, you idiot. You would just create more branch realities.
Oh.
You're not taking the stone.